Nigerian Senate on Tuesday urged the federal government as well as members of the National Assembly to donate the sum of 2 billion naira to Abule-Edo Emergency Relief Fund, Lagos State. The House of Representatives, on the other hand, stepped down the bill to regulate the activities of civil society organizations in the country. According to the lawmakers, setting up regulating commission will ultimately amount to muscling the civil society, who are an integral part of any democratic practice. However, the bill was intended to regulate the activities of civil society organizations and to make it accountable to government for the purpose of strengthening their capacities to promote democracy and development in the country. The House of Representatives also set up an ad hoc committee to investigate the refusal of DSTV to implement pay-as-you-go tariff for Nigerian customers. This and many more will be discussed on Press Talk today. I am Sandra Guana, and with me in the studio is, on my right, you see barrister. I don't know how to address you. Sometimes I want to address you as barrister, sometimes comrade. So which do you prefer? Silvanus. Okay, it's comrade Silvanus Upe. And to my left, I have this gentleman here, engineer. It's a familiar face that you always see on our television set.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So first thing, we are going to talk about the proposed fund for the Abule-Edo Emergency Relief Fund that the Senate President offered yesterday, that the federal government should donate to aid these people, to support them upon this latest tragedy. So what is your take on that? Do you think it's coming at the right time and that is the right thing to be done?
Well, I will first want to commiserate with the victims of that unfortunate incident on Sunday. Mm-hmm. Coming to the issue of relief fund, I think is timely. The government ought to do something to ameliorate their pains. You understand? To ensure that they don't carry the brunt alone. But then I don't think it's something that should be open to the public for donation.
Okay.
You understand? This is what a government should be able to do, especially the Lagos State government, where billions of naira are being generated as internally generated revenue monthly. I don't think 2-point-something billion naira to aid those persons who experience this mishap owing to the inactions and laxity of our government. The government should be able to take up the responsibility and ensure that even if they are not fully compensated, their plight is ameliorated. Mm-hmm. Well, I will also add that while everybody is talking about Lagos State, they forgot that in my own state, in Benue State, in Otukpo, there was a fire incident which burnt down over 100 and something shops. And people lost, the amount lost is, it has been appropriated to be in billions of naira. And nobody is talking about this. The governor has donated a mega sum, 50 million naira, and this will not go anywhere in helping those victims, in resettling them, in getting them new shops, and in paying for their goods. And I think the Nigerian government and the populace are enjoined to also discuss what has happened in Benue State, in Otukpo town, to ensure that everybody is being carried along. If they are talking about only Lagos, it's as if people in Otukpo are not part of the country.
Okay.
And we call on the Senate, the House of Reps, the Nigerian public, everybody to engage in this conversation and ensure that these persons who experienced mishap in their various means of livelihood are well compensated.
Okay, Engineer Dan, now considering the fact that this is a repetition of something that has happened in the past, like as mentioned, Senator Tinubu, when she was talking in the House yesterday, she said it has happened repeatedly in Lagos State. She named I think Abule-Egba twice, and some other parts of the state. So what do you think? Do you think is the right thing to be done and it's coming at the right time to donate to these people?
Well, I think that what Senator Tinubu is talking about is the Senate themselves to within their fund to donate to the victims is a normal thing that a Democrat should do, or originally, without being told, should do on his or her own. If the Senate President Ahmed Lawan, who presides over the House now, have certain things to do about how to give solace to the victims' family, and then people who lost their properties. Well, like my co-discussant said, it is not proper, but it is a moral thing to do by the Senate if they are donating from their salaries and their allowances. On the other hand, we do know also that the government is supposed to be proactive instead of reactive. And even if they are reacting to the plight of what happened, we know already that there has been casualties. We've lost humans. We've lost a lot of people, and close to 22 persons that have lost their lives. No amount of money will bring them back. Exactly. So the paramount thing to do now is to ensure that they are alleviated, and then to put proactive measures against such disaster.
Okay, I was coming to that. Oh, when you want to donate to people, why not look for a way, like you are searching for the root causes of those problems?
Yeah, we said it here the day before yesterday on Press Talk that they have to investigate these things. It could even be an act of terrorism or deliberate mischief by some powerful cabal to kind of get funds from what is happening from the government. However, donating money is good, but you don't donate because the government has been on laxity. There are proper channels. The NEMA is there. They have been founded, towards actions like this or disasters like this or events like this. They've been funded, and if they've not been funded in the budget, there are means of also, recuperating so that people can have solace and be able to, take care of their families and move ahead. However, the Senate is a legislative arm, and so is the House of Representatives. The senator who is representing them in that axis has spoken, and I think it's a plea. It is not mandatory, but what is morally right to be done should be also responsibly done by the Senate, especially those who are from that axis. Whether she is begging for all the senators to donate, I don't know, but there should be a mechanism on ground to see to the plight of such disasters and the victims of same.
I think she was basically talking about the root causes of these things so that it will be called. How do you think they can get to the roots?
That is the best thing to do. As a government, in order to effectively carry out your primary mandate, the primary purpose of every government is protection of lives and properties of the citizens, as enunciated in our laws. And for you to properly do this, you have to be proactive.
Exactly.
And being proactive is making sure that such incidents do not happen to your citizens. And we have not seen the Nigerian government as is presently constituted, or the Lagos state government, as having the capacity, the nitty-gritty to protect, to prevent, and to be proactive as making sure that such things do not happen. This is almost the 5th or 6th time this is happening in Lagos. It has killed so many persons. It has rendered people homeless. It has deprived many of their means of livelihood. And it has continued to repeat. What they should be talking about now is how to constitute a committee or get a task force together and ensure that the root cause of this thing is probed. What are the causes of this thing? Are they works of acts of terrorism? Are they being carried out by people who are sabotaging economics, engaged in economic sabotage? what exactly is the causes of this? Because anything that happens like this, a criminal intent should be read into it to ensure that this is not just an act of mischievous persons trying to, cause economic hardship to others. And it's the duty of the government to protect and prevent loss of life and loss of properties.
Okay, in 30 seconds, please tell us, what do you think should be done about all this?
No, well, like I said, without mincing word, what should be done? We have the NSCDC, that is the Civil Defense Corps. They should mount all pipelines structures in the country. We have the NNPC too, the NNPC and the Pipeline Marketing Petroleum Product Marketers Association. They should have a security committee that also will investigate differently from the arms of government that are doing that. We also have the police. The police should also investigate. We have intelligence. The intelligence should also investigate so that, one, it will not be an act of terror, then two, it will not be a deliberate mischief by saboteurs and some fascists who always want to turn government properties or use government agencies or parastatals or government enterprises, economic enterprises, to their own benefit. Those things are there, and I believe there are appropriate authorities who oversees these things. So those, if they are empowered, there should be an evaluating and monitoring team, patrol team that should also be carrying out security detailing against this kind of disaster, because it is not natural. This is very unnatural.
Exactly.
And they have to look into this.
Okay.
We cannot continue to deliberate on issues of disasters and pipeline. It is not good.
Thank you very much. Moving on, we are going to the House of Reps now. Yesterday, the House of Representatives teared down a bill to regulate the activities of civil society organization. They gave so many reasons. They argued, one of the reasons, they argued that setting up a regulating commission will ultimately amount to muscling the civil society, who are an integral part of any democratic practice. So what do you think happened eventually, would have happened if this bill would have been allowed to scale through?
Well, let me start by saying that I watched with pride the healthy debate that followed the presentation of that bill. And I was further perplexed with the patriotic way the rep members reacted to the bill. That would have been disastrous. How can you muzzle the civil society organization? An essential arm of the Nigerian state that keeps the government to its toes. During the military dictatorship, most of these rep members were not on ground to fight the military, but so many civil society organizations came out, put their lives on the line, and ensured that they put an end to the military rulership in the country. Had it been the bill scaled, it would have been bye-bye to democracy in Nigeria. Because democracy thrives on dissenting voices and opposition views. And that is what these civil society organizations bring to the table.
Bye-bye.
If everybody continue to agree with the policies of the government, then democracy will lose its flavor. The flavor of democracy is when there is opposition, when there is disagreement. You see many times, like the federal government trying to borrow 2.something billion naira, removing the southeast. We saw many civil society organizations coming up. You see healthy competition here and there, and that is the beauty of democracy. That would have ended our hard-earned democracy. And I watched with pride the position taken by many reps members who stood against this dictatorial bill and ensured that it did not see the light of the day. And let me also thank the initiator of the bill, who quickly, seeing the opposition that was greeting the bill, quickly stepped it down.
Yes.
He saw that this is not a bill that will thrive in a constitutional democracy like that of Nigeria, where freedom of expression is guaranteed and stamped under our laws, recognized internationally, how can you just bring such a bill to muzzle the civil society organization?
What is your take on that?
Yeah.
What is your take on that? Do you think it would have been bye-bye to Nigerian democracy as well?
Not per se, in as much as we know that in a democracy there is this freedom for the civil actions and reactions to take place based on what policy, if there has not been people-oriented policies from the government or agencies or ministries, the civil society will react, because the civil society is an interface between the people, the common people, and the middle people, and the first-class citizens. Such bill that will guard the civil society's protest is unfair. And however, we have civil society groups, especially the arm of activism, that have actually contributed to, setting us back in terms of democratic principles and the fight against insurgencies. If you look at what is happening in the Northeast, we have had some civil societies and even NGOs, non-governmental organizations, who actually are aiding the fight. They are aiding the insurgencies. You understand? And
what is civil about it when it's going to be regulated?
Well, if it is going to be regulated, I do not. The excesses. We have international secret saboteurs. That is notwithstanding. You understand? We have them because some people are like, in the guise of the Amnesty International, for instance, we have realized many times that there is this collaboration to thwart the effort of the security operatives who are fighting the insurgencies, and that is not good from the civil aspect. A civil society bloc that I know should be protesting or carrying out a solidarity for the people and not for the terrorists. And I think that is with the angle from which the Senate or the House of Rep were looking at. Probably the person who initiated the bill was looking at. But generalizing it that the civil society in general should be regulated is uncalled for. I, for one person, I'm an activist, and I believe that sometimes if the government failed in their responsibility, especially as regard the protection of lives and properties, I will react. And then the payment of salaries, gratuities, and severances, I will react. You understand? And where I do not see basic amenities for my people, and the government is trying to juxtapose reasons why those things have not been there, I will react. So I could even organize a civil action against the government. For instance, just of recent, there was a plan by the Senate to initiate a bill to ensure that the Senate will be responsible in selecting and appointing service chiefs.
No, not selecting, but ratifying the appointment.
Ratifying the appointment.
President will appoint, they will ratify the Senate.
It is not constitutionally binding, you understand? So it is what the Constitution says that will do. The civil action begins when the Constitution is not properly followed by any government arm. You understand? And that is when civil activism is more or less encouraged.
Let me comment. Okay. My co-discussant has mistaken civil society with non-governmental organizations. Okay. No. They are very different.
No, I didn't say that. I said even some non-governmental organizations.
But we are making mention of Amnesty International.
I know Amnesty International is an organization, is a non-governmental organization. You understand, but they are part of the civil society. They are
Okay.
part. They speak for the civil and more or less the common society, which is the civil society. So I know very well what I'm saying.
I was talking
Okay,
before you
let's-
just interrupted.
Okay.
So if you are talking of civil society organizations, we are talking of those by their registration in law. By their registration, how do you want to register this organization? Is it a non-governmental organization, a civil society organization, or a community-based organization? So most of these civil society organizations are mainly bound by law to speak for the less privileged. Whenever they see that the interest of the common man is about
to be twatted.
to be infringed upon, they have the responsibility, onerous responsibility of springing up to speak for the interest of the common man. And I don't know how they want to regulate them. As I heard the initiator of the bill talking about the finances, you know, I don't know why they are so much interested in the money that accrue to this civil society organization when the democracy they enjoy today, the democracy that brought them to the fore today, to the National Assembly, wouldn't have been possible without the active participation of civil society organizations who even thrived during the military dictatorship. These are fearless men who dared the military, who told Abacha, no, you cannot transmute from a military president to a civilian president. No, you cannot be the presidential candidate of 5 political parties. In fact, I heard my own hero, Bola Ige, refer to the 5 political parties as the 5 fingers of a leprous hand. These are fearless men who ensure what their own duty is to ensure that the government of the day follow the norms and the constitution. You understand? That is what they always do. And I don't know why they should be regulated. What do you want to gag them? You want to tell them what to say and when to say? If that happens, it means we have deviated from democracy to autocracy.
And thank God that the bill has
Like a
been
member,
stepped
a
down.
member cited an example that you cannot, if you want to regulate the activities of civil society, that means you want to tell the church that today is not convenient for us on Sunday.
Yeah.
So let's move Sunday service to Monday.
To Monday.
So what's your final take on this civil society before we move to
Well,
the
it is good. It's step down, and we'll do our best within the law to ensure that what democracy entails is practiced in the country.
All right, thank you. Moving on, we are going to be talking about the bill. Yesterday, the House of Representatives were just ready for the citizens. They were just giving the citizens everything that they needed. They brought a bill about the activities of DSTV, that they don't understand why DSTV are not complying to the pay-as-you-go tariff that was requested of them ever since. I think in the last house they discussed this and it was not adhered to. So what do you think should be done moving forward?
I think for the first time in the history of Nigeria, the 80th and the 9th National Assembly have proven to be pro-people. Most of the bills and actions they have taken in the Yakubu Dogara-led 80th Senate and now Femi Gbajabiamila-led 9th Senate are always pro-people. I think that bill is long overdue. They would have done this long time ago because everybody keep taking Nigeria for granted. This is not obtainable even in Kenya. We
Exactly.
don't do this even in Kenya
That
here.
was what was said.
But in Nigeria, everything goes. Even as they are talking there, you see when DSTV meets some of them outside and give them money,
That is the point I was trying to come in.
And that is why most of us keep wondering what stopped it at the 80th Senate.
Exactly.
If an arm of government as efficacious as the House of Reps gave an order for you to implement such thing, a pro-people's policy, and you did not do it, why were they not questioned in the 80th Assembly? So now that is coming up, we know for a fact that most of these things that come up in the National Assembly is just for these people to collect money from these organizations. Maybe they have raised this point yesterday so that DSTV will come and grease their palms. But we pray that for the first time in the history of the National Assembly, they are being patriotic and putting the people's interest first.
Well,
this is a laudable project.
Yeah, it is not the
And I
first time.
support them.
Yeah,
it is
motion.
not. It is not the first time.
Yeah.
Even right from the time of Abacha, I remember very well the dictator. He was the one that actually wanted to move DSTV from the country. You understand? And there has been this incorporation from the Senate then to allow DSTV to be, because we know that the partners involved in this broadcasting organization, they are powerful people in the country. But however, the onus is on the NCC, the Nigerian Communication Commission, and as well as the Broadcasting Commission of the country to do the necessary thing. Because even the MSDN that we use, talking about the SIM card we use from MTN, Globalcom, Airtel, Etisalat, they have this regulatory mandate to follow. It is called pay as you go. And pay as you go means if I am not using the airtime, there should be a preservation of same for me.
Yes.
It should be intact. You don't give me an expiry date of what I am not using. It expires only when I am using them.
it, yeah.
I cannot have data in my account and you give me date that it has expired. It's criminally in nature, and not only criminally, it is malicious also. Sometimes you see the children of nowadays, especially those of us who are family men, you will see your kids say, Daddy, the DSTV has expired. You just know that maybe you've not even used it because you are time bound. Why should you be time bound? That is the question. Why should you be time bound when there is no electricity supply for you to use your devices of the DSTV?
You know, I think that is not only for DSTV. Even when you subscribe,
you
data,
see,
they'll tell you this data is for 1 month. As soon as the 1 month is over, they'll tell you
it is completely uncalled for. That is, they are trying to pressurize you to use the data or the services when you are even busy. Could you be watching DSTV when you are to be reading? You are carrying out research. You are expected to be watching DSTV or making calls or sending text messages when you are doing your research, probably with your system, with your computer system. It is uncalled for. I think in the advanced world, in the first world countries, they are not so. So the regulatory agency, namely the NCC and the NBC, they have to do more. So if the Senate or the House of Rep are very, very serious to the adherency of this very bill, then it is time to revoke even their licenses. I am of the opinion that the licenses should be revoked until they have agreed to the terms of services.
Is it the one of all the service providers?
All the service providers, including MTN, Globalcom, Etisalat, DSTV, GoTV.
I would love to disagree with that.
No, hold on. Oh, you don't disagree with something which is already practiced.
I want to disagree
let him finish. I want to hear your disagreement as well.
It is the norm in the country. Pay as you go, what does it stand for? It is pay as you go, pay as you use. We have unit of electricity distribution, for instance.
Exactly.
And we are paying the bills as we use them.
Yes.
If you don't use the electricity, the bill is waiting for you. And that is how it has to be.
Okay.
So, what are you disagreeing?
So what is your...
Yes. Made valid points, but I would want to, with humility, disagree with his recommendations. That everything be shut down.
Yeah, I didn't say they should be shut down. I said they should be revoked. If it is revoked,
it should be revoked.
Within 24 hours, it is a digital operation.
You think if they are revoked within 24 hours, something
they will couple.
Let me say why it is not the right step to be taken. One, some persons just subscribe their DSTV as we speak today. If you revoke this license, millions of Nigerians... No,
that is not how it works.
Let me come.
You are already going parallax, and I'm putting you through that. That's not how it works.
So if you revoke people's license, it means they won't continue operation.
No, that is not how it
revoking
works.
license. If you revoke license of somebody, the license that empowers somebody to carry out activities, it means you are telling the person to withdraw his activities in the country, which will affect the millions of subscribers who might have subscribed for the month. Or some people buy yearly, they subscribe yearly.
What about the country's economy then?
That is it. It might not affect the country's economy, but it will affect those innocent Nigerians that are already subscribed for the service, for the DSTV service. What should rather be done by the Senate is to follow this up with action.
You made mention that they could just come out and blow the horn so that they could be greased. And I'm giving you a cogent
but it
action.
will affect the
no, it will not. This is how,
well, let me come with my own recommendation.
This is not law. I am telling you what is technically obtainable.
I am coming with my recommendation. This is not a matter of going to. We don't even need to go far into revoking license. If the federal government is strong, if the federal government is sincere to ensure that this pay as you go is implemented, just give them order. From now, so within 24 hours, reverse to pay as you go. And they want to keep enjoying businesses in the country. I bet you that they will go. They don't even need to go far because they know how much Nigeria is one of the best customers in Nigeria. They have the best customers, the 5th best in the world.
22 million.
Do you know how many subscribers they have in Nigeria alone? So they don't want to lose such a country. It is our government that is always selling us.
Let me put.
You understand? This is a way
let
they
me put my code
discussant
in order, in line as regard this how it goes. You understand? If regardless of how many customers have subscribed, their subscription is intact. You understand? Because you have your evidence of subscription, and that is not to say they will cut you offline. They will not cut you offline because you have subscribed that data or that services. The recommendation, we don't want to practice what has been the usual and expect different result. We can't expect that because it will continue to happen. If we want a turnaround, the best thing is, let's see the content of the contract. You saw Disco, for instance. Disco said the contract they entered under the Jonathan administration was that even though they don't supply light, electricity, power, that the government could not revoke them, because the contract specifies that if you revoke their license, 8 billion naira should be paid to them, even when they default or the defect in their responsibility. And it is not done that way. What is the term of contract? The Senate has to know, or the House of Representatives has to know the terms that they signed with the NBC and the NCC. I get what I'm saying. If you subscribe for a month, it's as simple as ABCD, and you are not using that subscription, why should it expire in a month? And if you say, I have nothing to do about it because you are the digital master and you control what I view, it means you are breaking the law. You are infringing on my fundamental human right. And you are also criminally, stealing from me indirectly. So, if you discover a thief, what should be done to a thief? You sue him and take him to prison. I get what I'm saying. So that is how it stands. The DSTV services in this part of the country, especially West Africa, not only Nigeria, because Nigeria falls under their West African services. I use it in my home. If you have alternatives, which the Chinese companies, you have several Chinese free to air, they too sue Chinese for hacking. Hacking what? The devices that the Chinese people produced were not manufactured from DSTV, but the wavelength that the DSTV paid through the Nigeria Sat1 or the Chinese SAT-1, or the American SAT whatever, or the UK SAT, they had to sue the Chinese company, and arrests were being made. I saw them some 4 years ago. And then so the Chinese have to go and manufacture a decoder that will be adaptive to free-to-air. When I mean free-to-air, means the wavelength at which they flow, they operate, will be free to the people to use, so long as you have that device to give you the connectivity. So what are we talking about? If the Senate is serious,
the House of Reps,
the House of Reps, first of all, they wouldn't want to lose the 22 million customers that they have. Revoke that license, see the terms of agreement in that license, and then revoke it if they are not meeting up. Was the license signed as pay as you go? That is the first question. If they are trying to,
they are dynamic. They can, even if they are not signed as pay as go, we know they are not signed that way.
No,
but
no,
they can be changed.
It could be. So the right thing to be done is to make sure that the people get the value of the services they pay for at their comfort and not at their detriment.
Okay. So your final take, what is your conclusion to this?
The conclusion is
to this motion
is to ensure whatever means possible.
Of course, they've set up an ad hoc committee.
They have been setting up such committees.
Okay.
I have told you that right from the days of Abacha. Okay, look at MTN. At first, we're using star
30 seconds,
star
please. We need
555 star 1 star this to load. We discovered that the mathematical statistics of star 555 star 1 belongs to somebody before you add up the 16 digits, as the case may be, or the 12 digits. You understand, that will credit your account for the certain amount you are loading. So percentages have been divided across board for the stakeholders of this what? MSDN.
Okay.
You understand? So the Nigerian government revoked that. And today you just dial star 555, no need of putting one. And then you load your card. It means directly to the MTN.
On the issue of the DSTV.
That is what I'm saying. It's still the same.
In 30 seconds.
It's still the same technicality.
Okay. Thank you very much. Please, what is your conclusion on this?
Well, what I'm saying is that the House of Reps should be patriotic and they should be indefatigable in seeking for the welfare of Nigerians, which involves their comfort at home. We subscribe for this and we want to make maximum use of our pay. We have paid for it, we want to earn it, we want to get the value for which we've paid, and we are not getting that. Most of us subscribe, we don't use it up to 1 week and it gets finished. They should pursue this to a logical conclusion and ensure that DSTV complies with this.
Okay.
Because Nigerians is long overdue.
Honestly.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Okwe, and thank you very much, Mr. Daniel. That's how much we can take today on the program Press Talk. See you again tomorrow on a very interesting topic again. Until tomorrow, my name is Sandra Goana. Thanks for watching. Bye.